like that, like magic. We are live on the internet. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. You are the second ever repeat guest, I believe.
Woohoo! I feel special.
You are special. You're extremely special. And like I was just saying, I can't get through a podcast without mentioning your survey. I feel like I have to bring up at least once or twice per episode the results from the survey you put out. And, because I couldn't believe that only 15% of doctors, are telling their patients about water safety.
It's unthinkable. I can't.
Staggering.
It is. It's when it's the leading cause. We're not talking about the number 10 cause of accidental death. It's the leading cause, and they don't talk about it. And I truly believe that's still why it's the leading cause. And until they start talking about it with their patients, then maybe some changes will take place.
Yeah, it's probably a double prong, right? It's probably the doctors and the media simultaneously not talking about water safety for some reason.
Correct.
We talk about everything else that could possibly hurt our kids, almost to the point of hysteria. But, when it comes to the one that actually kills more kids than anything else, more than car accidents, more than, you're 100 times more likely to be killed by a pool than a firearm if you're under 5, 14 times more likely than a car accident. It's bizarre that it's not talked about more. Yeah,
it truly is. I think there's going to be some changes. I feel like over the next couple of years, there's going to be enough. They're going to be bothered enough by the different foundations and parents that are coming together. And I know the Millers and the Hughes are really working closely with the AAP on making some changes. So I feel like some changes are coming.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this, over 20 years, and it's always seemed weird that water safety has kind of been this bastard stepchild of the world. And
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. But I think, with the internet, we've seen a lot more people working together more, which I think has always been a big problem.
Yes.
And I think you're right. I think we're going to see some big changes hopefully soon. You're right with the Millers and, et cetera.
Yeah, we've been following the Department of Children and Family Services website very closely now that I've learned that you can track the number of deaths in children and by category. Mm-hmm. So I just looked it up today, and Florida has now had 67 drowning deaths in 2018 for children, 4 of which were in September and 2 were on the same day. It's really sad.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I've been sharing this now on Facebook every time that number goes up so people can track it. And I think sometimes when you just see that number, it just resonates with you. And it just maybe that one thing you decide to share it on Facebook and a neighbor or a friend sees it and decides to put their child, in survival swim lessons, decides to put up that baby gate, decides to, put alarms on the doors and the windows. You just never know. So we just keep sharing.
And those are only the ones that are counted as drownings, which, as we know, the number is probably a lot higher than that because, a lot of drowning fatalities aren't considered drowning deaths.
Correct. If they survive past 24 hours, it's categorized as something else. However, when you look at the notes for each child, I have seen where it said the child survived a few days and passed away. So I think this number is pretty accurate, because I've seen that, listed. So it was, even though they survived past 24 hours, they made it onto that list. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get it. It goes out to a criminally small audience, but we're going to start putting it up on our blog with his permission. But Mick Nelson, his wife, Sue Nelson, used to be the treasurer on the board of the NDPA. But Mick Nelson works for U.S. Swim, and he spends hours, 5-6 hours a day, probably putting together this Excel sheet, essentially, keeping track of every drowning that is recorded anywhere in the news, anywhere in the country.
Wow.
And he catalogs it all, and he says where it happened and how it happened, and, as much data as he can, pick out of the news story.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and follows up. And he's been doing it for years. And he does it because there's no one else really, there's no government agency really doing it. There's no, not in any timely fashion. So the CDC does it every 2 years. But, if you want to know what happened 2 months ago, you have, he's the only one doing it. And he puts it out once a month. And, I found out because I asked him, I said, well, where do you publish this? And he goes, we email it out to our group. And I was like, no. So we're going to start putting it up on our website because, he's doing
Please share that with me because
he's doing this amazing job,
Yeah.
And, it needs to get out there because he's doing a fantastic work there. And like you said, he's dedicating, hundreds of hours a month to do this. So
I think what I'm also going to do is take the stories that they describe of what happened to each child and put those in a document, because you can see how easy it can happen to any family, as simple as escaping the door. Now, I'm sure there's neglect in some of them, but for most of them, they're, just normal parents like myself and all the other parents that are great parents. And they just, one of the layers of protection fails or multiple layers protection fail. And, your child becomes a part of that statistic. So I think sometimes reading those stories and seeing how easy it can happen, again, maybe that one thing that just pushes that parent into that direction of the pool fence, the survival swim lessons, the doors, locks, alarms, all the stuff that we preach about on a daily basis.
Of all of the parents I've talked to who have lost a child to drowning, and of all the stories I've heard, I don't think I've ever heard one and thought, oh, that mom messed up. It's never, and not because they were there talking to me, but even objectively, I don't think I've ever been like, oh, they could have fixed that, ever. I don't think it's ever had that thought, where that was a quote unquote bad mom.
Yeah.
There's always been some extenuating factors, some, unpreparable, event, some, combination of things that were unexpected. It's never seemed like, well, they could have, if they were just watching their kid better, that would have turned out differently.
For me, I feel like I could have prevented Jake's death. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the hardest things for me through this process. And we're coming up on almost 5 years now. I can't even believe it. Is, what happened to Jake was preventable. Now, could it, he fell into the intercoastal at night, and, his circumstances were different, but had he had the ISR or any type of survival swim lessons, at least he would have had a fighting chance. So if I had focused a little bit more on, are these doors locked? We were visiting somebody else's home. So, had I just paid a little bit more attention, I feel like he could still be here. Does that make me a bad mother or a bad parent? Absolutely not. But that's just how easy it can happen, and just why I do what I do, because I want parents to know that, it can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter how good of a parent you think you are. Stuff happens. I could say a bad word right now, but I'm not going to. I'm going to say stuff happens.
Well done. I say all the time, for every, hilarious story you have about, Johnny drawing a mural on the wall in crayon, or, Susie covering herself in peanut butter. Mm-hmm. You're just a person that got lucky. They chose to do that instead of find a way out into the backyard.
Correct.
So,
we've all had that moment.
Right. And those stories
every parent has had that moment, or where you're in a store and you look away for 2 seconds and you turn around and your child's right behind you, but your heart sinks because they're not right here. Right. That happens to me, and I am like this all the time anywhere I'm out with my kids, and it still happens that they just go right behind me and I panic. Right. Every parent has had a situation like that.
And, those stories are hilarious when they turn out good, right? When it's, the fact that they, used your makeup to, cover the bathroom, but or
their face, mascara. That one doesn't come off very easily.
Or they cut their own hair. That's always a good one too.
Yes, I have not experienced that, but they've cut the doll's hair.
Okay, same idea. But those are lapses in supervision, right? Those are times when they, something bad could have happened. So, I think if people think of it like that, if you have a hilarious parenting story, you just got lucky that they didn't open the back door and go outside if you didn't have, the layers of protection in place, because I think that's relatable. It's
important. Layers.
Yeah. So since you've had some time to marinate on the survey that I talk about literally all the time, have you had any more insights from it, or things that have come to the top?
No, I mean, we're still getting, the survey's still open, so we'll still get a few, but the numbers have stayed the same, the percentages. Once we slow down a little bit, which after our event that I know we're going to talk about, I plan on trying to use this data with our local pediatricians and doctors' offices. I'm going to try to start making appointments and get in there and tell our story and, make sure that they know that we offer scholarships and give our brochures. And we already have posters hung at a lot of the local offices. And I just really want to focus on getting more information to them and sharing those survey results. Again, in our county, it was a little different. It was about 50% that talk about it. So it's obviously better than our national average, but it's still only 50%, and it should be 100% that discuss it. So I feel like that's going to be my focus when it starts to die down a little bit here with the event and scholarships, that I can really try to make a difference, at least locally. And then once we start seeing a difference here, then maybe we can branch this off and help other people help their areas as well.
So were most of the respondents in Florida?
No, actually, only a small percentage, but I'm able to break that survey down because I asked the question, do you live in Palm Beach County? So if you said yes, then I can break it down by just those people. But I want to say only about 500 of the 8,000 were from Palm Beach County. So a lot of it came from, pretty much almost every state we have somebody that responded.
That's really cool, the reach of it. And because I had assumed incorrectly that because you're in Florida and because you probably know more people here, that you probably got a lot more responses in Florida.
I know. And it really surprised me too, because we've been sharing it and on, all the local moms groups and everything. And it just seemed that, it was outside of our area.
You should leave a link in here because I don't know in the comments when we're done, because I don't know if we shared it on our Facebook yet. We may have. If we didn't, we will.
I'll do that. Yeah, no, absolutely. I still think we need to just keep them. If we could get to 10,000, even though we're about 8,000 right now, I think that could still, that's very impactful, I believe. We recently set up a table at a pediatric event. It's basically where doctors and nurses come to get some of their hours, and they have to listen to, somebody speaking. And so I brought the results of the survey with me because I knew that these are the people I'm going to be in front of. And we handed them out. We handed out quite a few of them. So I'm hoping just even getting that in, and hopefully they were taking them back to the office and really reading that, and hopefully it resonated with some of them.
Are you planning on doing it once a year, or, what's your thoughts about it?
I'm not really sure. I mean, it's still open right now. I mean, I guess I could close it and then do it again. Yes, actually, we should probably start a new one.
So that way you can track the data, right? You can see if you get better.
Yeah. Yes, because if it stays open, the same person can't
do it again.
Can't do it again. So
and it would be hard to segment. I mean, I guess you can do it by date, but it would be hard to split out.
Yeah.
But
that's a great idea. I'll close that one out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that way
we could track it and see if we're making a difference.
Right. Or if there's a difference being made, period, that's what I would do. I would do it once a year.
I have a feeling now that, like I keep bringing up the Millers and the Hughes because that's what's in the news right now. And they're paying attention. The AAP also sent out a letter to all the pediatricians with their story. And they are going to make some changes. So I do believe we're going to see a difference. I just don't know how long it's going to take. But I think there's going to be some changes.
I've said before, it's sad that it takes, a celebrity of any kind. The last one was the Secretary of State Baker when his granddaughter drowned, which created the Virginia Graham-Baker Act. That it takes, someone well-known to have something for it to kind of be a catalyst. But, I'm glad that something works, right?
Yeah, at that point,
I'll take what I can get.
It's what they're talking about. Yeah. And, they're giving them a lot of airtime, which is great. I mean, they're sharing their story. And, every time I see it, obviously makes me very emotional because I know the pain, the guilt, everything that they're going through. And they're so new into it and almost 5 years into it. But it affects me because I know how heartbroken they are, and how different their lives are going to be forever. And, again, it's why we work so hard just to keep this from happening to any family, regardless of your, whether you're a celebrity or not. This just needs to end.
Yeah. And
it's preventable.
When it comes to that, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or,
nope.
A regular person, the emotion and the experience is still the same. I mean,
correct.
They're still parents, they're still people, and, they'll have to go through it like everybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that they're doing it, from what I hear, the right way as far as getting the messaging out. I have some friends of mine. Marsha Kerr lives out in California.
Mm-hmm.
She used to work for the CPSC, and a few other people have said that they've reached out to them, and they want to make sure they get their messaging right, and that they're, when they go on all these news shows, they're not giving out bad info.
Sure.
So they've taken a lot of time to try and, make sure that they say the right thing when they with their platform, which I appreciated.
Yes.
They're not just kind of winging it,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me about this Schwenky event that I have to get dressed up for.
Well, it's our first dinner gala, and it's called Be the Light. And it's September 29th from 6 to 10 in North Palm. We're super excited. I can't believe it's actually next Saturday.
Yeah.
This one came up pretty quickly. Our race, we planned basically a year out for the race. And this one we've planned basically in about 4 months. So this one has come up very quickly. But we have a special guest speaker, Matt Eversman. I'm sure most of
Oh, we lost you.
Sorry. That was a phone call coming in. Remember I asked you?
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. It freezes for a second, then comes back. That's what happens.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, your special guest speaker?
Yes. So I'm sure most of you have heard of the movie Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
But Josh Hartnett played him, basically. So
cool.
He's a retired master sergeant, and he does motivational speaking all around the world. So we're super excited to have him. And we have another little special treat for everybody. And just it's going to be a really nice night. We have probably about 15 families coming that have been directly affected by a drowning, both fatal and non-fatal. So it's for me, it's equally about putting these families together because we share this common bond. And we have a family coming from Arizona, Ohio, and Miami. They're kind of coming from all over, but I think Arizona and Ohio are the furthest. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the tickets are $150. It's open bar, great food, silent auction. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm sorry?
What is the food, by the way? I was curious when I bought my ticket.
I'll send you the menu.
Okay.
Yeah. We have like 7 past hors d'oeuvres during the cocktail hour, like high-end tuna and grilled steak skewers. Mm-hmm. And for the dinner, it's paella and a carving station and a big salad bar and wonderful dessert. As I mentioned, open bar. Tito's is giving us the vodka, and Code Rum is giving us the rum.
Nice.
So, plus some other, drinks and wine. And so, yeah, it's it's going to be a nice event, but you can get your tickets on our website, livelikejake.com, and you just click on events and Be the Light, and all the info is there.
What made you decide to do this?
Well, we have the run. That's currently our biggest event, and we've always wanted to branch out and, do something like this. And one of my board members, Amy, kindly took this on and chaired it. So that's been nice. But it's just, another way of reaching more people. One, for the funds necessary to keep doing what we're doing, and 2, the awareness. So. Yeah,
I mean, it appealed to me. I'm not going to do a run, but I saw a dinner. I'm like, well, I can do a dinner. That's up my alley,
eat, right?
I can eat.
Yeah. And that's it. You have to play to everybody. Eventually, we'll probably add a golf tournament or something. But it's, again, for me, it's equally about the awareness, and why I do all the other smaller events that we do throughout the year. It's to reach those families, to, just to discuss the water safety and the swim lessons. That's always the first thing when I'm at these events. I ask the little kids, do you know how to swim? And, it's either yes or no, or we're working on it, and leads into the conversation with the parents about, the importance of survival swim lessons, not just necessarily traditional, that they really need to learn how to survive in the water. Traditional lessons, I've talked about this before, although Jake took lessons and never learned in his lessons, even had he learned, it wouldn't have saved him in his situation. He fell in fully clothed in the intercoastal with a current at night. He would have had to have known those survival skills.
So tell me about your new nonprofit that you and some other folks are getting going.
Sure. So I'm one of the founding members, and as well as Live Like Jake, for an organization. We're not a nonprofit, but called Parents Preventing Childhood Drowning, or PPCD. And it's really a collective effort from other nonprofits and a few parents that have been directly affected by a drowning to come together as one voice to prevent childhood drownings. So we're in the process of putting together a universal brochure that can be mailed anywhere, because it's not specific to an area. It's really just about the layers of protection and, how to protect your child in and around water. We also were very, very excited. I had just spoken to you about this, that we are going to have a booth at the National AAP conference. So this is a big step for us to be able to get in front of, the people that we want to reach.
For anybody who doesn't know, that's the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Correct. Thank you for clearing that up. Yeah. So we're super excited about that, because that goes hand in hand with wanting to get into with these pediatricians, and we'll have those survey results. Maybe by then, in November, we'll be at 10,000 with your help. I think that can also make a difference. So currently right now, we are fundraising to host this booth. I'll post the link up on my Live Like Jake site, and I'll send it to you as well. If anyone would like to help us out and, help us reach our goal to be able to do this, that would be awesome.
That's fantastic. So what specific goals does the new organization have, as opposed to kind of what you're already doing with Live Like Jake?
I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But Live Like Jake, obviously we do the prevention side of it, but we do the scholarships and, to help the families out. So this really is about not necessarily the scholarships. It's about the awareness. It's about the education. It's really about getting these brochures into as many doctors' offices, anyone that, hospitals. We're hoping to try to get into the birthing centers. So this goes home with the parents. And because it's a national effort, and there's nothing specific to any type of, swim instructor or program, it's just we are recommending a survival self-rescue swim method. So I feel like because it's universal, it's national, we will reach a lot of people. And that's really our goal, is just the awareness and education.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like it's off to a great start. The people involved are all fantastic. So I think, the more we have going on, the more education, I think, the better it's going to be.
Absolutely. It takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a village.
Yeah. And I like that everybody kind of seems to be more, and we talked about this a little bit, with the advent of the internet and with, a lot more communication, all the organizations, and there's so many, seem to be kind of more on message than they were previously.
Correct.
A lot more collaboration, a lot more, kind of less reinventing the wheel. So, that's a good thing.
We all need to work together. That's what it's about. Banding together, creating one voice and making a difference, and we work really hard in our area, getting the word out. And, when we're at these events, and usually I'll ask, have you ever heard of Live Like Jake? And I would say it's probably 80%. They'll say yes, which is pretty cool. Or people will say, oh yeah, you're everywhere, or I'll hear something like that. It's kind of like, well, I guess that's a good thing. But it's so I encourage all the other nonprofits or parents that are on a mission, just continue. Don't worry about what people think. Just continue to share your word, spread your message, because it truly does, take all of us to make a difference.
Absolutely. So anything else? You got the dinner coming up. Anything else coming up for Live Like Jake after that?
Oh, man. Well, May 11th, 2019.
It's the run.
We're planning the run. We just got our new logo, so we're excited about that.
That's cool.
Yeah. So in January, we usually host a movie night event right around Jake's birthday. So I'll make sure I share that info, with you. We do have something coming up in December. We have a couple fundraisers. Normally I take this time off, but it's hard for me to say no when someone wants to help me. We got to make it happen. So we do have a few other things coming up. The best thing is just to follow us on Facebook. It's pretty much where I do all of our marketing.
I'm excited about the logo. Are you going to unveil it officially, or what's the plan?
Yes, I thought I did the other day.
Did you? Maybe I didn't see it.
I did. I'll send it to you. I'll tag you.
Yeah,
that's great. We used one of those websites where you pay a certain amount of money and they all compete.
Is it 99 Designs?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
We use them for Lifesaver's new logo, the one that you know now. Mm-hmm. And I used it for the NDPA logo when I helped them redesign their logo.
Yeah.
I used it for the Chelsea City Stores logo. Yeah, I've used them a bunch of times. They're awesome.
So that was fun. And we let our I put it out there that we had a $10 off code to register for the race. And if you registered, you got to vote on it. So we had 3 for them to choose. So technically, they got to choose the winner. So
that's cool. Really cool. Yeah. And it's a fun process, right? Going through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the beginning, it wasn't so fun because I wasn't too impressed and was a little worried. But then they started getting much better. And then we had a hard time choosing. Yeah,
it ramps up real fast, right? It's kind of got this hockey stick of quality thing going on where it, it takes a sharp upward turn real fast, and they copy off each other, which is kind of cool.
Yes. So we're super excited, and again, that's the race holds a special place in my heart because we do get these families that come in from everywhere, and we're up on stage, and it's a good bonding experience. Yeah,
and it's a good central annual event, unlike the dinner. But I think what's cool about the dinner is you could probably do the dinner, twice a year or 3 times a year. And I don't think it would be overdone. I think you can do it a couple times a year is all I'm saying.
Do you want to throw one for us?
I don't.
Yeah.
But it feels, like you say, you put it together in 4 months. But it seems as far as a fundraising tool, it's something, unlike the run, which is so massive,
Yes.
You could theoretically do it a couple times a year,
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but
no? I'm trying here.
This mama needs a break. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, we've actually had our busiest year yet. We have now crossed over the 500 mark of approved scholarships. And so that has kept me quite busy this summer. So we had 400 last year. So, and the year's not even over yet. So we've definitely grown again. Every year awesome. We grow. So
how many did you do last year? Do you know the comparison?
Yeah, we did 400 last year.
Okay, so we're 100 more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Now we're at almost 1,300 scholarships in 4 years. And for anyone listening, if you're not familiar, the Live Like Jake Foundation offers scholarships for ISR self-rescue swim lessons. And the application is on our website, livelikejake.com. We also suggest that you go to infantswim.com just to see if there's an ISR instructor in your area first. We would love to help you. And any family that has been directly affected by a drowning, both fatal and non-fatal, it's an automatic scholarship. So if you know of a family where the child survived and needs lessons, or the siblings need lessons, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you.
And just like for the same rules, identically for our pool fence donation program.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You guys, I tell you this all the time, are amazing and generous, and what you're doing, with the posts and every ad that you put out there and the fences, it's coming from a genuine place, and you're really making a difference. And I proudly have your logo on the back of all of our brochures and talk about you guys quite a bit.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we try. It's been a long road, and I'm glad, like I was saying earlier, that it seems like it's finally hitting a national. We're breaking through some kind of tipping point. It seems like and it's been a long time coming. Like when I first started doing this, no one wanted to hear about it.
No.
I would rave on about, how drowning was the, at the time, number 2, now it's number 1, accidental killer of kids between 1 and 4. And, people were like, that's nice, but, it was all in person. It was one at a time. I was on shows. There was no internet, but, it seems like it's finally coming up. So it's exciting,
Well, I think, you have to pat yourself on the back for that, because you guys have a huge part in that. You are out there working really hard to make a difference.
Well, I think it's, the, honestly, I think it's the parents, you guys have really, turned your message and what's happened to you into something powerful. And, it's one thing to come from a company selling a pool fence,
sure.
but it's totally different when you hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yep. I mean, every day is a battle, I tell people, but this is my therapy. Knowing that, we're helping others and potentially saving lives gets me through the days. That's for sure. Absolutely.
Well, I hear Josie crying in the background.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
No, you can hear that or not.
No big deal. And we're good anyways. So I'll let you go. But it's great having you. I can't wait to see you next Saturday.
Yay!
I will be there.
Again.
I'll be there with a couple Lifesaver people, and it'll be great.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Keri. Have a good one.
All right. You too.
Bye. Goodbye, everybody.